Hello, Dad.
Hi, Lucy. What's up?
Oh, Dad, there's not much I need help with. I was simply sending catch-up texts. You haven't said anything at all lately. Me and Jane are concerned about you.
Jane?
Yeah?
Who's Jane?
Dad, she's your daughter. My sister. She is my twin.
Oh, I see. What is her latest condition? Her husband seems like a kind guy.
Dad, they got divorced 2 years ago.
Did they? Yes, it is true. Of course they did.
Actually, the reason I texted you was to find out how you were feeling after the mom's funeral. I was considering coming over to keep you company for a little while because I knew how lonely the house must be right now.
Coming over? That will not be necessary. Thank you, but I'm fine on my own. Lucy, I'm not a child. I can look after myself.
I never said you couldn't take care of yourself. I just thought you must be feeling lonely right now. Mom and you lived there together for more than 50 years. It must be peculiar to live there alone. Jane and I were just concerned about how you were handling life without Mom. That is, mentally failing to cope.
Don't act ridiculous. Your mother was boring and only spoke to bother me when she felt like it. For her, nothing could ever be enough. I'm happier without her.
Dad, you don't mean that.
Do I not? Are you even able to recall your mother's personality? She was a miserable woman, but at least I'm not stuck with her anymore. I can now do anything I want.
And what could it be?
Anything the hell I want. Heck, I could watch TV all day. I don't need to be sent outside to trim the bushes anymore because I'm an old man. Just let the damn things grow, that's all.
I know exactly the person you need to trim the bushes. Dad, he'll do it for free.
Jane, I don't need someone to trim the bushes. I thought I had made myself clear. All I want is to be left alone.
Dad, you wouldn't understand the slightest about being alone. You're the most welcoming person I've ever met.
Please just leave me alone, please. You constantly annoy me, much like your mother did.
In fact, people frequently comment, I take after you more, Dad.
Nonsense. Impossible.
Dad, don't be mean.
Well, it's true.
What do you mean?
You can't take after me.
Of course I can. I'm your daughter. You and Mom are the two people I can take after. It's a fact of biology.
Except it isn't.
What? What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Dad, what are you saying? Tell me.
Let me alone. I'm an old man.
No. Until you clarify what you meant by it, I won't leave you alone.
Ask your Uncle Joe.
Dad, I've never met Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe passed away, do you forget? He passed away before my birth.
He's not dead.
Okay, you're speaking uncontrollably now.
I'm not. Uncle Joe is still alive and well.
What? Why did you not tell me?
My heart wasn't in it, too.
What do you mean?
I hope he's dead. It was not acceptable what he did to me. His treatment of this family.
Dad, what did he do?
He and your mother are two people I will never be able to forgive.
I have had enough of repeating the same stuff. Would you please tell me what's happening?
I suppose you're supposed to know. In the end, it affects you.
What affects me?
I'm about to tell you, damn it. Let me catch my breath.
Okay, relax.
Your mother told me something before she died. She informed me that your mother and your Uncle Joe had an affair over 45 years ago, around a year before you were born. I always questioned why your uncle would suddenly leave the state without even saying goodbye, even though I knew they were always sweet on each other. I also had suspicions. However, your mother told me this on her deathbed. She had been keeping this information from me for a long time.
So you think that I'm...
Your Uncle Joe's daughter? I don't know. Maybe. Yes.
Thus, Mom, did she ever inform you that I, Uncle Joe's daughter, that Jane is Uncle Joe's daughter?
Your Uncle Joe lives in Nebraska. He had 2 twin sons. That one can be figured out without being a scientist.
Dad.
Who's this? Who am I talking to?
It's Lucy.
Oh, Lucy, sweet pea, how are you doing? How's the husband?
He's all right. Sorry, Dad. I'll call you later.
You don't give calls anymore. I'll give you a call later, Dad. I swear.
Hey, Jane,
My favorite twin sister.
that joke never gets old.
Unlike us, old twin sisters, it still amazes me that we will turn 50 next month, 50 years old.
Speaking of old people, our dad,
Oh, please don't start. The grumpy old man, how is he these days?
did you not talk with him?
I've tried. To be honest, he hasn't been the most understanding when it comes to my attempts to move over the death of my mother over the past several months. These days, he's really miserable.
He just lost his wife after all.
Our mother, too. Anyway, I thought Dad couldn't stand Mom.
I'm a little concerned for him. To be honest, when we spoke on the phone, he sounded a little confused.
You may restate that. These days, he's really not into it.
But don't you believe there may be a more crucial problem?
Like dementia? Yes, it most certainly is.
He told me about some strange things on the phone earlier.
Like what?
Like he's fairly certain that we are not his biological daughters.
He is. I'm really sure that he requires medical treatment. The man is unable to look after himself.
He is really stubborn. He refuses to be placed in a retirement home. However, what's bothering me about this whole issue is that when he informed me he wasn't related to us, he sounded quite honest.
I don't get it. What was it that he said?
Do you still remember Uncle Joe?
Yes, Dad's brother passed away before we were born.
Well, dead Uncle Joe is very much alive. Uncle Joe is alive and well.
What?
Yes, he vanished, and I suppose Dad found it simpler to accept his death than to give an explanation for what had truly happened to him. However, Dad claimed that Mom told him on her deathbed that she and Uncle Joe had an affair, and he believes this is the reason he left.
Are you for real?
Indeed, and to further complicate matters, he also believes that we are Uncle Joe's biological children.
That's insane, sis.
I know, right?
He's lost it, hasn't he?
I don't know. Yes, it sounds made up for sure. He once asked about your husband's well-being. I informed him that you had been divorced for more than a year.
Yes, sis, he is an old man. Clearly, he's becoming disassociated from reality. Uncle Joe most likely isn't alive. And even if he is, which I seriously doubt, we aren't his biological children just because he had an affair with Mom.
As he told me, Uncle Joe lives in Nebraska with his twin sons.
He is rambling. I believe we need to get in touch with the nursing home. I dread to think what condition his house is in.
For my own peace of mind, I might look into Uncle Joe. Even though I'm sure it's all fantasy, I still need to investigate just in case the old man was telling the truth.
Sure, go for it. Dave is knowledgeable about that kind of thing, so ask him.
A quick Google search would probably help. He can't have changed his name, right?
Sure, tell me what you discover if you do.
Yes, Jane, I will. Chat soon. Joe Edison.
Who's this?
It may sound strange, but you have a brother named Denzel, right? Denzel Edison?
Who's this?
I'm Denzel's daughter. You're my Uncle Joe? I believe you are.
How did you find me?
My mom passed away a few months ago, and although my dad told me you were dead, he's maybe you're still alive. He may have dementia, I believe. In any case, he informed me that you might be my dead Uncle Joe. He informed me that you were still alive. I looked you up in the Yellow Pages because he informed me you were still alive and well in Nebraska. I'm hoping you're the Joe Edison since there are only about 10 in Nebraska, and I've only called maybe 7 of them so far. Are you the right one?
Yes, I am the one. My brother was named Denzel.
Was?
Yes, was. He is no longer my brother.
Why is he no longer your brother?
We fell out. It has been close to 50 years since we last spoke. I assumed he would have died by now. Finding out that he's still alive disappoints me.
Do the two of you hate one another?
Sure, we do. What a worthless betrayer he is.
Betrayer? If it's okay with you, may I ask why the two of you fell out? You were sweet to my mom, he informed me, that he believes you two had an affair of some sort just before the birth of my sister and me.
Did he tell you that? That's about right then. That's not shocking that he told you that. I don't believe man has ever told the truth in his life.
What then is the truth? He believes that you are my dad.
I'm not your dad. I asked for a paternity test, and Denzel is your dad.
So, you seek a paternity test? Then you did have an affair with my mom.
I never had an affair with your mother. Your mom and your dad had an affair, and both of them fled together.
What?
We were so very sweet on each other that your mom and I were all set to get engaged. She was the love of my early years. She was my childhood sweetheart and remained so throughout my 20s. But she captured Denzel's heart from the start. He never had a girl of his own. He was a shy child, one of those quiet types. But Mary, your mother, she's always liked Denzel. Didn't like me picking on him, thought I was mean older brother. But I always looked out for Denzel. I stopped my buddies picking on him. But Mary tells me one day that she's pregnant. We'd been cautious, I thought. I was furious. I wasn't ready, but I'd always wanted her to be my wife. I was not prepared to have a child. She wanted me to marry her. Because her father was Catholic, she worried that if he learned she was pregnant, he would disown her. I promised to give it some thought. Weeks passed, and I was at a loss for what to do. Still, Denzel was asking all these questions, asking about Mary. I found it strange that he even implied she might be pregnant. It seemed so odd to me. How did he find out Mary was expecting a child? Mary then informs me one night that she and Denzel were in an affair, and that he would marry her if I didn't want to. I asked her if Denzel or I were the parents of the child she carried. I didn't believe her when she claimed that it was mine. I wanted to kill my brother, but I got arrested for driving under alcohol before I could act. I was placed on 8 months on probation and locked away. Mary was too far away for me to go near. I was clueless of her whereabouts. I was clueless of Denzel's whereabouts. She gave birth to 2 baby twins when I eventually located them. I requested a paternity test and informed Denzel that if the kids were his, I would never again call him as my brother and that I would marry Mary if they were mine. Once the results were in, things were over. Mary and Denzel left town. I did not follow them. I was unwilling to. My brother and I last saw each other that day.
Were you not curious?
Curious? About what?
About Denzel. Did you not want to learn more about his life? That would have been difficult for me to let go of.
It was not easy. Had me chewed up for years. However, I moved on. I had the chance to know an awesome woman. God bless my wife's soul. My wife and I have our own identical twins. I am not a naturally curious person. I was glad to learn that Mary's babies weren't mine because I like to deal with facts. There was nothing left for me to give them. They were free to act whatever they wished. It was no longer my concern.
I think that my dad, your brother, I believe he is feeling guilty. I believe he regrets what he did to you. He has been confused, which is why he has been saying these things. He believes that we are your children.
Maybe. As stated, I just use the facts.
Would you be willing to make peace with him?
I don't think so. I don't want to go looking for ghosts since I've come to terms with Denzel's death. The past is what it was. My life has gone well. Life has been good for me. If Denzel wanted a reconciliation, he could own up to what he did.
He's not going to confess to anything anytime soon, in my opinion. It seems like he's gradually losing control of things.
I'm sorry. Also, I regret your loss. Mary was a lovely woman when I knew her.
Okay, if you feel like making changes, you have my number in case you're interested.
In the end, where did Denzel end up?
California.
I see. Good for him then.
If you want to know more.
I know. Don't hold your breath because I have your number. I'm an old man. I could not even think straight. I can't walk as well as I used to. The distance to California is far.
Joe, I appreciate you telling me this. I am aware that revealing these ghosts from the past must have been difficult for you.
Like I previously stated, the past is the past. I've had a happy life.
For now, Joe, bye.
Goodbye, Lucy.
We discussed moving Dad into a home for months before Jane and I made the decision. Even though his health was failing, I got a call from Uncle Joe a few days before my dad passed away. It had been more than 50 years since Joe and his brother had spoken. They had a long talk while I held the phone to his ear. My dad apologized to Uncle Joe. My dad smiled for some reason, though I'm not sure what Uncle Joe said to him.